All right, hey, what's up guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Today I'm going to do a video on why we, and I'll explain to you why the we's in parentheses, spot drop when we play cover 3. Make sure you check out some of our partners, GameStrat, sideline replay system we use. If you're looking for highly reliable, highly affordable, make sure you check out GameStrat. Dome Hats, which is the headwear company we use at the school that I'm currently teaching at and coaching at, and with Play Fast Football, here's one of our fitted hats. It's completely customizable. Every hat has a story. Make sure you let Dome help you tell the story of your hat. Baker Sporting Goods, company that we use for our players' gear, spirit packs. Our uniforms come from them. Our coaches' gear, so our sideline gear, our practice gear. You can set up online stores so that fans or teachers can buy things. So you can get everything that you need for your program all in one convenient location. JustPlay, which is the playbook software that we use. We also use it for presentations. It's got a great presentation mode. You can, within your playbook or your installs, you can attach video clips to it. And for me, it's the best play drawing tool on the market. That's why I use it. That's why I use it when I'm going to speak at clinics or on my Patreon site. When I'm diagramming things, I always use JustPlay. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. Get thousands of reps without needing a partner. It's just you and the DifferenceUSA pad. It's got different tension coil springs inside, so as your kids get older, stronger, they develop more, you can change the tension in the coil. That makes it harder to lev the pad back in. But the great thing about it is not only do you not need a partner to use it, you also can set it up in your weight room. You can set it up outside on the field. They can be set up anywhere you want them. They're great for in-season and off-season skill development. CoachTools, which is a player grading tool. It's completely customizable. It's a software, so the old days of writing everything up and either having to type it out in Word or putting it into Excel to give somebody or to give your players a grade, now you can make it on a software program that's completely customizable. You set up the columns, anything that you want, makes it look 100 times more professional for your players and your athletes. Okay, so the reason I have we in parentheses is one of the things that you have to understand in the game of football is there is no one way to do things. We don't even have one set definition for certain terms, or we don't have one set vocabulary in the game of football. You can go from school to school, coach to coach, and they could be talking about the same technique and using different terminology. So in football, there's no one clear way that you need to do anything. It's basically, the thing I think that coaches love so much about football is it's a game of problem solving. Problems going to come up that you have to be able to solve. Everything that you run is going to have issues, and you are going to have to protect and fix those issues, if you want to run a solid system on offense or defense, So anything you draw up, somebody can draw something else up and say, hey, how would you defend that? Or hey, how would you cover that? How would you fit that? How would you block that? So as a coach, you always have to understand what the answers need to be within your system and how you are going to problem solve, how are you going to fix certain things, So what you got to look at sometimes is how much time do I have? How much can kids really understand? How much can my coaching or my assistant coaches or my staff understand? What's the most effective way for us to solve a problem, and get it to where it is conducive for us in practice time, install time? Is it something that we can carry to fix a problem, without creating other problems? Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to fix a problem that creates 4 other problems, well then you're really not doing yourself, your team, your kids, a service by installing things or fixing problems that bring up other problems, Anything you sit and look at when you draw something up can be picked apart by anybody that wants to pick it apart. At the end of the day, you've got to be able to protect what you do. You've got to know where your issues are, and you've got to be able to put some things in that can help you, fix some of those issues or protect some of the things that you think, other people can exploit, So if you've watched us the last year and a half, or you watch these videos for the last year and a half, you know that we have been a tight 3-high team as our base defense, Well, when we play the 3-high structure, 3-high is not a coverage, 3-high is a structure. When we play the 3-high structure, we still base out of split field coverage. So we essentially base out of middle of the field open, quarters toolbox, split field coverages. So when we, like this past year, I got about a year ago, or a little bit less than a year ago in January, I got to my new job. I had to start installing things with kids and the staff, and what are we going to run, how are we going to run it? Well, day one is split field quarters toolbox. So we spend all our time early in the offseason, in any 7-on-7 work we can get, any meetings or anything we get, anything that we're talking about with the staff or with our players is spent on split field coverages. That's where we start day one. That's what we install. Even as a 3-high structure team, tight front team, we are a split field coverage team. We are a quarters toolbox team. So from day one, everything that we are going to discuss is about pattern matching out of middle of the field open. Pattern matching out of our quarters or our 2-read, our 3-by-1 adjustments. That is everything we do from day one. So all of our time and effort goes into all the nuances. Okay, so one of the reasons I draw up 2-by-2 a bunch is because when you're diagramming things on the board, all right, it is the easiest way to talk about 3 receivers to a side. How do you play 2 removed? All right, I know that's not the set that you're always going to see, but when you're drawing things to talk about philosophy, all right, or to talk about schematically what you're trying to do, every time I draw up 2-by-2, it's going to create certain issues that we've got to be able to defend. So when we start day one, we've got to be able to talk about 2 removed receivers and a back or a third receiver to that side that can get out into the pattern. And we've got to talk about how we're going to match that. So in our base 2 removed, all right, when we're playing palms or 2-read, one of the first things we've got to address all the time is how do we handle the route adjustments when 3 is out, okay? And then how do we teach our corner and our safety? What are we teaching on the releases of number 2? What do we consider 2 out? What do we consider 2 vertical? What do we do if 2 goes under? Okay, so the 4 players that are involved on that side, all right, you've got our middle safety who's involved, our Sam, our safety, and our corner. We have got to teach all the nuances of 4-on-3 coverage to that side in our base defense. So day one install, we have got to work over and over and over again on all those route combinations. And we've got to talk to our kids about the terminology we're going to use and the buzzwords we're going to use. Okay, so I talk to our guys, the release of 3 is either wide or it's tight. All right, that's the terminology I use. It's wide or it's tight. When we talk to our safety in our corner about number 2, all right, we talk that number 2 can either be in, out, or up. Okay, that's just how we do it. That's how I do it within my system. And then we define the rules of what in, out, up means. And then we define the rules of what our reaction is going to be when 2 does one of those things. Right? We talk to our underneath players that are matching the patterns, all right, of 2 and 3 or the new number 3, if the back is wide or the back is tight. That's where we start day one. All right? And that's where we've got to spend most of our time is doing half-line drills, going through all the different combinations that we can get in that version of coverage and making sure that we are sound in our base version of coverage, our day one install, the thing that we are going to play, all right, more so than anything else, and the thing that if we had to line up tomorrow to an offense that we don't know and we've never seen, these are our rules, this is what we're going to play. So we've got to be able to play that to the best of our ability if we want to be successful. All right, so we spend so much time going through all the different pattern matches and all the different scenarios we can get, all right, in that system of coverage. It takes us a long time to get good at it. It takes us a long time to get these 4 guys to understand how they need to match those patterns, what the vocabulary is, what the terminology is. It takes us a long time to talk about all the different buzzwords, doing several drills with our kids and reinforcing it in Indy to get our kids to understand what we're reading, where our eyes go, what we're looking at, all right, what's going to make our determination on these things, what our rules are for in, out, up, what our rules are when we get wide or tight. So if that's our base structure, and that is how we spend all of our time, install day one, if that's who we are, all right, in a big game situation, if we had one thing to go to, and that's what we're going to go to, that's where we need to spend all our time and effort, especially early, okay? So one of the things that you're always going to have to do, if you are a middle of the field open team, at some point, you are going to have to close the middle of the field because that is going to be one of your issues that you're always going to have to resolve. If you're a middle of the field open team, you know a lot of the beaters that you're going to get. You know where people are going to try and attack you. So when you're a middle of the field open team, you know that one of your answers is always going to have to be middle of the field closed. Now, on some older videos that I have on the channel, if you want to look those up, I talked about different ways we close the middle of the field. I talk about some 5-man pressures playing 3 under 3 deep. I talk about playing man free. I talk about playing low hole, high hole, robber coverage. So there's several different ways that we can close the middle of the field. But for us, if we wanted to just play standard cover 3, okay, for us it becomes a drop 8 deal. All right, so it's adding the mic into the coverage for us if it is a coverage situation. Okay, so what we have to understand is when we want to play cover 3 now, going from the structure that we just spent all our time and our effort installing and saying that that's where we hang our hat, that's how we live. If I want to close the field to play cover 3, and the easiest way to look at it for us is if we took 2 safeties down, all right, and we played them as curl flat players, or at least to the weak side, curl flat players, to the strong side, we can play them as more true flat players, all right, because wherever the 3 releases are mic. So to this side, if the 3 was on that side, you would now get a flooded zone where you would get a flat player, you would get a curl player, you would get a strong hook player. Our middle of the safety becomes a middle of the field player. There's a deep third. All right, there's a deep third. Okay, so for us, when we go to play middle of the field closed, I don't have enough time, all right, to install all the things that we may need to do to run pattern match rip Liz or to run pattern match cover 3, okay? It's not a matter of if I think, I 100% think pattern match cover 3 will get you tighter coverage in the passing game than spot drop country cover 3 will. I will never argue with that with anybody. I'm not here to argue that with anybody. But what I'm here to tell you is, for me, when I have to spend all my time in a quarters toolbox, installing everything that I need to get in my quarters toolbox to remove, tight end flanker, 3x1. Once I spend all my time doing that, when it comes time for me to make an adjustment, and an adjustment is something that we run, okay, to alleviate some of the issues that our other coverages, all right, might have, or it's something that we run as a changeup. This is not where we hang our hat. This is not who we are every day on defense. So for me, I decide to go spot drop cover 3, all right, and on this side, this would be curl flat, this would be hook curl, because we only have 2 underneath droppers to that side if I'm going to use the mic to the strong side. So I get flooded to the strong side, the back side's got to be more traditional, all right, hook curl, curl flat players, right? So one of the first things that you got to understand when you're playing, you know, coverage and zone coverage is there's 6 underneath zones. You've got hooks on each side, curls on each side, flats on each side. Well, if you've only got 4 underneath players in traditional 4 under 3 deep, those 4 players have to be able to equate to 6 zones. One of the ways you do that is you cover the routes that are in that zone, or based on the pattern distribution, you match the routes that are in that zone. That is why pattern matching cover 3 will always be a tighter way to cover windows, all right, if you are a 1-high team. So if you are a 1-high team, I strongly think you should probably look into the Rip Liz match world, and that is your base defense, okay? For us, it's a changeup. So as a changeup, it's something that we feel we need to be able to do, all right, to provide protection to our middle of the field open. It's something we need to be able to do to provide a changeup to our base package so that we make the offense work against different things and not always see middle of the field open. But as a changeup, it's something that I feel I've got to get something in that is relatively easy for us to do. And this is the easiest way for us to do it. Again, that's why we spot drop cover 3. Okay, so we are going to have to talk to our corners about midpointing. All right, why are we going to have to talk to our corners about midpointing? Because we know that we're not carrying 2 vertical like the Rip Liz match world. If you were in the Rip Liz match world, you would carry 2 vertical, okay, and you would carry it from outside low to make the ball go inside to where your free safety is. Well, we are going to try and collision 2 if we can, especially when we can flood a side out. The curl player is going to try and collision 2. He's going to try and keep 2 out of the seam as long as he can. But we've got to talk to our corner about midpointing a 1 and 2, because we can't always assume that we are carrying the vertical of number 2, because it's not how we teach it. So because we don't play it that way, we now have to teach our corners the way we need to play 3 deep in our system. Again, as a changeup. Okay, so we're going to have to talk about midpointing. We're going to have to talk about carrying wheels now with whoever our flat defender is. So that safety's going to have to understand that he's going to have to carry the wheel of 2. All right, we're going to have to talk to our guys about if 3 is out, how we need to push our zones a little bit. We're still flooded, hook curl flat, but we got to talk to our guys about, hey, If 2's out or if 3's out, we got to look for this coming in. Now I've got to talk to my Sam linebacker, all right, about not pushing with 3 out. I don't need an immediate push. I have a flat player. All right, so if 3 is out and I'm in the curl, I'm looking for 1 or 2 coming in. So it's different than our standard pattern match, okay? But for us, it's the easiest way for us to get to an answer that we understand we can provide a change-up, we can close the middle of the field. All right, one of the other things that we'll do as a change-up, all right, especially into the boundary, all right, is we'll mix it up and we'll cloud one side. So to one side, we'll play what would essentially be cover 2 rules, right, to one side, and we'll still drop the safety away from that down. Middle safety still goes to the middle of the field, and now we are creating the same 5 under 3 deep. All right, we're still closing the middle of the field, but we're doing it from a clouded or a kicked or a rolled version, where on this side we actually drop the corner down. All right, so we'll do it into the boundary, all right, or we'll do it sometimes maybe away from the back, or we'll do it to the side that we think there might be access throws on, so that we provide a presence to easy throws. We provide a presence in the flat right now to take away access throws. We provide a different system of leverage in the run game. And that's why we do it to the boundary more often than not. For us, this is a combo deal for us where we're playing 3 deep, but we're playing a combination of a clouded corner on one side and the safety to the other side is rolled down. So now you still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underneath players and 3 deep. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, anybody can play 5 under 3 deep. Yeah, that's what we do. All right, we don't include the mic in our base coverages in our split field, but we do include them in our drop 8 coverages. Now, when we're playing drop 8, hopefully we're getting passes, right? We're hoping that when we drop 8, we're getting the passes that we think we need to defend. Obviously, if we get runs, we should still be sound in how we fit runs. Now, we've got to talk a little bit differently. Our middle safety is no longer involved in the fit, so we become, all right, more of a 1-gap, 8-man front fit team than we are, with some of our light box theories with the middle safety, okay? But for us, drop 8, 3 deep, spot drop stuff for us is really not a base answer to stop the run game. We have to be able to defend a run just in case we get it, right? Especially in high school, you never know what rundowns are. But for us, drop 8, 3 deep is a way that we close the middle of the field. It's a way that we provide a system, all right, of answers for our kids if the middle of the field is being attacked. If I know that somebody likes to run certain route combinations on certain down and distances, or if teams like to open a game. There's times where we'll open a game in some type of spot drop 3 deep or combination 3 deep, simply because a team on film has got 4 different games where they take a shot and their shot plays against middle of the field. All right, teams are running corner post. All right, so we're split field. Teams are running the shake route by number 2 because they know you're middle of the field open. So there's times where, for simplicity's sake, I have open games in our drop 8, cover 3 spot drop stuff because I'm trying to protect what I show on film and I'm trying to protect what the other team has a tendency to do for their openers. Okay, so for us, all right, cover 3 spot drop, dropping 8, all right, for us is a change-up. It is a different look to provide answers, all right, to some of the issues that we have within our middle of the field open. And so for one of the things for us that we struggle with is I very rarely play any traditional 4 under 3 deep. And the reason for that is in our base teaching, we teach it with an extra dropper inside. So instead of us having, your standard hook curl players, all right, and curl flat players, so instead of us having your standard curl flat, hook curl, curl flat, all right, now you've got to be able to relate to all the routes that are happening with 4 underneath droppers. That for us is so much different because when we play it, we always have an inside dropper that's going to drop to the side of number 3. So how I teach my front side curl player is going to be different than how you would teach a hook curl player, all right, in traditional 4 under 3 deep, because I can allow some things to go back. I can allow some things, all right, to be done differently by my front side hook curl player because he has a player coming back inside. All right, so we have that extra player in there. So for us, we really can't play, and again, we can't play 4 under 3 deep because it's not how we teach it. It's not how we do it. So for us 3 deep spot drop is a changeup. Why do we do it? Because it's easier for me to teach spot drop coming out of all my pattern match deals. I don't have enough time in the day, in the season, in the install, and I don't have the courage to teach all of those matches in pattern match Cover-3 and our quarters toolbox. Okay, I don't think I'm good enough. All right, I don't know if I can relate all that to my staff, and I don't know if we have the time in a day or in a season to get that relayed to our players. So for us, Cover-3 is an answer. Cover-3 is a changeup. It's not a world we live in. So that's why we are okay spot dropping Cover-3. I wouldn't live in that every down because I think eventually there are some bigger passing windows. All right, we may give up more completions, okay, than we would in our pattern match deal. So I wouldn't live in it every day. And if I lived in it every day, like I said, I would probably play Rip Liz match Cover-3. That's how I would install it from day one. Now, if I was a Rip Liz match team, then I don't know if I would carry all the split field matches. All right, or middle of the field open matches. If I was a Rip Liz match team, I would carry middle of the field open, some version of 2 high, as a changeup, and I would do it a different way because for me, I'm not good enough to teach all those matches. I don't think I have enough time in the day to teach them all. So if I was living in the 1 high world, my 2 high would be a very easy changeup. For me, in the split field world, the quarters toolbox world, I want my 1 high stuff, my 3 deep, to be a very easy, simple changeup. Again, people will look at this and say, well, you're going to have all these different issues. How are you going to defend this? How are you going to defend that? What are you going to do to 4 verticals? What are you going to do? We know where the issues are. We know the things that we're trying to defend and we have to take away because it's a change-up for us. All right? But again, we don't live in that world. This is something that I do to protect our other concepts. Okay? So hopefully this helps you guys understand a couple things. Number 1, how we play spot drop Cover-3. Number 2, why we choose to do it. And number 3, most importantly, when you are thinking about your system and you are thinking about what you do on offense or defense, the biggest thing you've got to keep in mind is every system has flaws. Every system has issues. You have to understand how to protect them, how to fix them. And as a coach, what I tell people all the time when they ask me, hey, what should I run? What should I run? You should run whatever you're most comfortable with installing and fixing, because when a game occurs and you have to have answers for your kids, if you can't fix things and you don't have answers, that system is no good. All right, so if you go out and learn something that you're not well versed in and you want to do it because it's the flavor of the week or it's the new hotness or it's the new craze, if it breaks down during the game and you can't fix it, it's not worth you carrying. All right, so guys will ask me all the time, well, why do certain teams run this? Why do certain teams run that? In my opinion, teams run what they run probably because that's what their coaches know the best in the high school world. In the college world, they go out and find what they want to do, and then they find the best coordinators in the country to do it, and then they find the best players in the country to fit it. Well, in the high school world, a lot of times, if you see somebody, I'll get comments all the time that says, hey, coach, we still see a lot of wing T. We still see a lot of flex bone. Okay? Well, that's because those systems still win games. Those systems are still very good systems. And the reason you see that is the people that are at that place, that is what they know. That is what they can teach. That is what they can fix. That's why you see it all the time. Okay? So remember, you've got to run what you know how to run. You've got to run what you know how to fix. And then you've got to have answers for it to help your kids out. So hopefully this video helps you out, understand why we do things, but also understand why things are done in general in the game of football. There is no one way to play it. There is no right or wrong. There's teams winning games all over the country, running a myriad of schemes and all kind of different things, and they are still successful. All right, so if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on. You'll know every time we do a video or every time we go on YouTube Live. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you like it or you don't like it. It lets me know how to change these videos or how to change my presentation. As always, leave a comment. Anytime you leave a comment, all right, it helps me understand what you would like to see, a different video, or it helps me fix some issues when people leave comments and say, hey, coach, we did it, but we did this, we did that. I learn as much, all right, as hopefully you guys do when I'm doing videos like this, so leave a comment, all right? Hopefully if your season's still going on, you're playing for a state title. If not, you're into the off season, getting ready for the grind, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast, and I will see you guys next time.